The United States held talks with Canada to join the free trade agreement that includes more than 8 nations in the Pacific region. It is called Trans-Pacific Partnership, better known as TPP. And while big global corporations are likely to benefit, CCTV's Jessica Stone found that small American businesses are also looking for benefits as well. She is live at the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. Jessica?
Hi there, Phil. Well, President Obama has set a goal of doubling U.S. exports by the end of 2014. So far, 2 free trade agreements have been signed by the president, but this is really the most extensive one that has been negotiated by the administration to date. It is the TPP.
That's the whole drive shaft to make that a rear-wheel drive vehicle. I guess so. Yeah.
Precision Tune Auto Care is the kind of place car owners can stop by for an oil change, a tune-up, or new tires. They have 260 locations here in the United States and 80 shops in 7 other countries, including Nigeria, Oman, and Portugal. In the middle of the U.S. recession, Precision Tune Auto Care sees international expansion as vital to increasing the company's bottom line.
We've gone through a pretty tough economy here in the United States, and there's been a lot of layoffs and all of that, and a lot of companies struggled. And in the very space that Precision Tune is in, we've continued to operate profitably and keep our staff, and we've added stores here in the United States.
In Asia, however, its only location is on the island of Taiwan. One reason Lee Oppenheim, the company's vice president of business development, is participating in the U.S. negotiations for the Trans-Pacific Partnership, a free trade agreement between the U.S. and these 8 countries. Canada and Mexico have just entered the negotiations.
What are you looking to gain from your participation in the Trans-Pacific Partnership negotiations?
It opens up 7 or 8 new markets for us. Presently, not including Mexico and Canada, where we're currently engaged. Those markets represent about 36 million vehicles in current registered vehicles based on available information, and probably a market cap of about $14 billion a year in U.S. dollars.
Precision Tune sells its brand and concept to small business owners around the world who agree to become what the company calls its franchisees. So Precision Tune needs TPP to provide greater intellectual property protection and to help vet potential business partners.
Precision Auto Care has already seen the benefits of its international expansion to the companies that make its tools and supplies. For example, on a recent trip to Nigeria, one of its vendors sold $500,000 worth of goods to the shop owner.
Celeste Drake with the American labor union AFL-CIO has been involved in the TPP negotiations. She says previous agreements like NAFTA, a free trade agreement between the U.S., Canada, and Mexico, have favored multinational corporations at the expense of small business and American workers.
What our workers have actually experienced are a lot of job losses, factories and other businesses moving offshore. The jobs that remain, the workers find that they have less bargaining power.
Drake is most concerned about the enforceability of a trade agreement that spans economies from $15 trillion in size to just $124 billion. She says TPP will have to make sure that state-owned enterprises compete fairly and that investment rules force large corporations to take up issues in domestic courts.
If a company is already large enough to be investing overseas, it's going to take advantage of those investment rules and potentially outcompete a smaller business.
Even as TPP talks have increased, so have questions about whether it's really possible to ask developing countries to comply with the same rules as industrialized nations. But for this American small business, the cost of not participating is too great not to try.
If I could really find out who I was doing business with, I could stop some of the stop and starts.
And Phil, the negotiations continue between the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, where we are an avid supporter of the TPP, as well as many other organizations who are also interested, such as Precision Tune Auto Care. The next round of negotiations is in New Zealand in December.
Jessica, this has been an ongoing story now for almost 5 years. What about China and what about Japan? Where do they stand in all these different negotiations?
Well, it's interesting that the 2 largest economies in the Pacific region are not party to this agreement, and we are hearing
reports that Japan may in fact decide to join the negotiations sometime after Prime Minister Noda settles his cabinet. But as of this moment, China is not a party to this negotiation. So what we're really seeing is the U.S. Making an attempt to form free trade agreements with many of China and Japan's largest trading partners.